You know that feeling, right? It's 2 in the morning and your mind is just replaying some conversation from last week, picking apart every single word. Or maybe you're staring at your phone, trying to decode a text message for the 10th time. It feels like your brain is stuck in a loop and you just can't find the off switch. Well, what if I told you there is one and you can press it right now? Okay, let's do this. That mental hamster wheel, you have the power to just step off. In fact, let's do it together, right now, in the next 10 seconds. We're going to use a technique studied at Stanford Medicine called cyclic sighing. It is incredibly simple and honestly, surprisingly powerful. Ready? All right, let's try one cycle. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Now, right at the top, take one more little sip of air. And now a long, slow, complete exhale through your mouth until you are totally empty. Feel that? That little shift? That's not in your head. That's real, and it's your body responding. That little bit of calm you just felt, that's our starting point. And now we're going to build on it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a complete 4-step system, all backed by science, to stop that overthinking loop whenever you feel it starting up. So first off, what is overthinking, really? It's a common word, but what researchers often call it is repetitious negative thinking. See, it's not just thinking a lot. It's when your brain gets latched onto a problem and just chews on it over and over and over without actually getting any closer to a solution. And get this, it actually comes in 2 main flavors. First, you've got worry. This is all about the future. It's your brain asking, what if? What if this awful thing happens? Then you've got rumination, and this one is stuck in the past. It's your mind asking, why did I do that? Or if only I had said this. So you're either rehearsing a future catastrophe or replaying a past mistake. Either way, it pulls you out of the only moment you actually have any control over, right now. So why on earth does our brain get stuck like this? Well, a field called metacognitive therapy has a pretty good explanation. Think of it like this. Your brain has a threat detector, like a smoke alarm. But with overthinking, that alarm gets stuck in the on position. It becomes a habit. And the wildest part? Your brain starts to mistake the act of worrying for the act of doing something. It feels like you're being productive, but you're really just spinning your wheels. So if we want to break this habit, we have to understand how the machine works. And the overthinking loop, well, it's not just in your head, it's a full body experience. And we can map it out with a really simple 3-part model. It all starts with a trigger. Let's say you get a vague email from your boss. That kicks off the story. Oh no, I'm in trouble. I bet it's about that report. Your brain starts spinning. And then comes the body's response. Your heart starts racing, your shoulders tense up, and you get that jolt of cortisol. And here's the kicker. That physical feeling of anxiety then becomes a brand new trigger, and the loop just keeps feeding itself. But here is the single most important thing to get. You do not have to fight this whole thing at once. You don't have to stop every negative thought. All you have to do is break one link in this chain. If you can successfully intervene at the trigger, or the story, or the body, the whole cycle starts to fall apart. And that brings us to the actual solution, the 4R reset protocol. This is your practical, step-by-step system for breaking that chain. So let's walk through it step by step. The first R is to recognize. The second you feel that familiar spiral starting up, you just notice it, and then you name it. No judgment. You just say to yourself, this is rumination, or, okay, that's worry. This simple act of labeling, which is a huge part of therapies like ACT, creates this tiny bit of space between you and the thought. You're no longer inside the storm, you're just watching it. Okay, next up, we go straight for the body link in the chain. You need to regulate your physiology, because when your brain is racing, trying to argue with your thoughts is basically useless. Instead, you directly calm down your body's stress response. And our best tool for that is the exact cyclic sigh we tried at the very beginning. And this is exactly why it works so well. That double inhale literally pops open these tiny little air sacs in your lungs. And then the long, slow exhale sends a signal through something called the vagus nerve, straight to your brain, telling it to hit the brakes on your stress response. That Stanford research I mentioned confirms this is one of the absolute fastest ways to lower stress. Seriously, just 3 of these can make a huge difference. Now, a really quick but important note here. This system is a powerful tool for managing everyday overthinking. It is not, however, a replacement for professional care. So if you're dealing with what feels like severe anxiety, panic disorders, or depression, please make sure you speak with a doctor or a mental health professional. Okay, so you've noticed the thought and you've started to calm your body. Now it's time to break the story link. The third R is to redirect your attention. You deliberately pull your focus away from all that internal drama and anchor it in the outside world. And the absolute best way to do this is by using your senses. We're going to use a classic grounding technique here. Just silently to yourself, name 5 different things you can see around you. Now notice 4 things you can physically feel, like the texture of your shirt or the chair underneath you. Now listen for 3 distinct sounds. Notice 2 different smells. And finally, focus on 1 thing you can taste. This isn't just a distraction, It actively fills up your brain's working memory, literally crowding out the space for that worry or rumination. And the final step, this is where we turn all that anxious energy into forward momentum. R4 is to resolve. But this does not mean solving the whole problem. It just means taking one tiny physical action. The mantra here is super simple. Action over analysis. This is a concept that comes from something called behavioral activation therapy. You just take one micro step. So if you're worrying about a big work project, don't try to finish it. Just open the document and write 1 sentence. If you're ruminating about how messy your kitchen is, just put 1 single dish in the dishwasher. This little 2-minute action shatters that cycle of passive analysis. It tells your brain, hey, I'm not helpless, and it gives it new, real-world information to focus on. Okay, so you have the system now, but it's also really important to know the common traps that keep people stuck. Let's really quickly go through 4 mistakes that actually make overthinking worse. First trap, arguing with the thought. Trying to prove it wrong just gives it more of your attention. Instead, just notice it and redirect your focus. Second trap, searching for 100% certainty. You're never going to find it. Instead, just focus on the one micro action you can actually control. Third, mindless scrolling to distract yourself. It just feels passive and often makes you feel worse. Instead, choose a deliberate 2-minute action. And finally, the trap of analyzing your feelings forever without actually acting. Instead, just acknowledge the feeling and then take one small step. All right, now it is time to take all this from theory and put it into practice. I have a simple challenge for you that puts everything we've talked about together. So let's do a super fast recap of the 4R protocol. You recognize the loop. You regulate your body with 3 cyclic sighs. You redirect your attention using your senses. And you resolve the situation by taking 1 2-minute action. It's a simple, repeatable sequence. And here is the challenge. The next time you catch yourself overthinking just in the next 24 hours, try the 4R protocol just once. Then I would really love to know what you discovered. Drop a comment below and share which step you think will be the most challenging for you. Is it recognizing the loop in the first place, or is it taking that first small action? And let's just end with this. The point of all of this is not to achieve some perfectly silent mind. That's impossible. The goal is to see the thought for what it is, which is just a thought, and to choose consciously to put your hands back on the steering wheel of your own mind. It's not about winning a war with your thoughts. It's about choosing not to show up for the battle in the first place.